What is up, everyone? Welcome back. We're finally into the second round of our 2025 bracket. We've done all of the first round for the four regions. We did the low proof, we did the rye riot, we did the finishing school, and then we just did a few days ago we did the high proof, and I would say the high proof and rare bourbon bracket or region as well. So now we're getting into the second round, and today we're going to do the second round of our, what I would say is our most controversial region. We're going to go back to the low proof region where we had some really crazy upsets, right? We had the Jack Daniel's 10-year and the 12-year and the Knob Creek 21 all get knocked out. And the Eagle Rare got knocked out as well. So we had some really heavy hit. So let's get into that. We've got these ones going first, and then we got the Penelope and the Old Forester. So we're gonna get into it, get everything set up, get things erased from the last time. Yeah, so we're getting into it. We're getting close. Now we're gonna be able to bang out these videos a little bit quicker, just because it's not so many bourbons and whiskeys to deal with and to set up and all that. So let us get into it. Since we only have to do 2 head-to-heads, we may do just slightly more, just so that we are really taking our time to taste everything and to really make sure that we're picking the right one to move forward with the top 4 essentially in the low proof section. So we're going to do RR for Russell's Reserve. I am sorry if you can hear that squeaking in the background. That is my dog who said that it's time to play by himself while I'm trying to do this. So I apologize if you can hear that every once in a while. So now we're going to get the Old Fitzgerald 7-year. This is so good. I'm really excited because I know a lot of people love the Old Fitzgerald higher age statement stuff, VVS, 10-year, 9-year, I believe. They do a lot of really cool releases, and I also know that people really love the way that they do their bottles, right? That like kind of shorter, round decanter type bottle. I know people love those. Some people keep them and use them for other things, or for a decanter for other whiskeys and stuff, or maybe for their infinite bottle or their infinity bottle. So we got Old Fitz right there. But yeah, so that's why I really like it, because I've never had any of the older stuff from Old Fitzgerald. So yeah, I'm really excited how they're doing this, and it's kind of on the shelf a little bit easier to find. It wasn't too hard for me to find this one and the one I had before it. So let's go ahead and get going. All right. So we've got this first matchup. We've got the Russell's Reserve barrel pick out of Nana's Kitchen. And we have the Old Fitzgerald 7-year. And something I just realized, that it is possible that it could be Nana's versus Nana's, which would be quite interesting to put their 2 barrel picks of different distilleries up against each other. So yeah, let's see what happens. So yeah, let's take this first one out. Smells really good. Okay. A little bit of oak, a little bit of sweetness. Nothing too wild and crazy going on there. Yeah, there's not a lot going. Yeah, maybe that oak is just a little bit there, more so than the sweetness. We're going to try and cleanse our palate as much as we can to really taste it and taste it differently each time. So we're going to go on to the second one now. This nose is a little bit better, a little bit more on that fruitier side, I would say. That one's a little bit more tame, I would say. Not really a really big punch with with flavor. It's very smooth. The Old Fitzgerald is a 100 proof. We're gonna put these up front like we normally do. And this one's 55%. So it's what, 110 proof. So only 5% difference. I mean, it's not crazy different. But yeah, so far this second one, a little bit, it's a little bit smoother, has a little more vibrant kind of fruit taste to it, like subtle oakiness on the back end. Again, when it comes to like how old things are, I think this one was distilled in the fall of 2018. This one was distilled, this one was distilled in February of 2017. So this one's just a little bit older. So yeah, they're pretty similar, I would say, when it comes to each other. Again, they're not one's not like 20 years old and the other one is 6 years old or 7 years old. So there's nothing too different about them in the age statement. And there's also not too much different between the proof that they are. So let's kind of go back to this first one. Yeah, that one has just a little bit more pop to it when it comes to flavor. I'm obviously still working to pick out all of the different flavors that I know people pick out. It's a lot of like caramels and maybe some cinnamon, a lot of vanilla, oak, maybe some darker fruit that I get most of the time. I know some people pull out all these crazy different flavor notes and flavor profiles. So I'm still working on that, trying to pick those out and pull those out. But for me, so far, I'm really liking this first one. And I really don't know which one is which. Because again, these are all just based on proof, right? They're not, the ryes, where you might have a little bit more rye flavor than one or the other, or the finished one, where they could be all finished in different things. So those are all going to have their each individual distinct flavor. And then obviously the high proof is the same thing. It's right. It's higher proof. So they're all going to be the high proof. It's just, what does that proof do to the flavor and how long things were barreled for is going to have a lot to do with it too. Yeah, that one's just not, this second one just isn't, it just really isn't doing a whole lot for me in terms of flavor. It's really good, like, don't get me wrong, like, whichever one it is, I'm not gonna like throw it down the drain or anything like that. But I would say something that I would drink most often and pick, I definitely think it's going to be this first one. So we're going to pull out that first one. We'll slide this over and out of the way. Now that we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty, we're going to kind of give these bottles each their due praise, or what you will, with what it is. So we're going to take that. That was the very first one that we chose. Here's the first lineup, or the first battle in the lower proof bracket. This next bottle is going to the third round that will make it into the final four, essentially. So yeah, so let's get to it, see which one it is. It is the it is the Russell's Reserve. You can't see that, I just smudged it with my finger. But it is the Russell's Reserve. Maybe that 5% alcohol does do just a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, this is so freaking good. I love this bottle a lot. And I try to go back to it as much as I can without drinking it all. Because again, like I said in the high proof stuff, the the high proof and the rare stuff, you know, I try and keep it on the shelf as long as I can because I don't want to drink it all and then it be gone. That's just how I am. I know that there's always new stuff coming out and there's always new things to try, always new things that are bigger and better. But once I like something, I want to really keep it and hang on to it. So that's why there's not a whole heck of a lot out of these bottles right now. Obviously a little bit more out of the Old Fitzgerald. The Russells, I really just tried to hang on to it since I got it at like really early in 2025. Yeah, it was bottled in July, so it was in the, you know, kind of early second half of the year from Nana's, but it is the one that's going on. I know it was the number 8 seed, I believe it was, you know, in quote unquote last, but definitely don't sleep on a barrel pick out of Russell's, especially if it's a place that you really respect and know that they do good barrel picks. Always definitely try and get their different barrel picks, but definitely Russell's Reserve. Don't sleep on a barrel pick from Russell's Reserve. So with that being said, and all the Russell's Reserve talk, this one is moving on to the third round. Maybe it makes it into the final 4 and it's going to go up against some pretty heavy hitters. So we'll keep that up here in front. Unfortunately, the Old Fitzgerald is going to go back on the shelf. We're going to actually start kind of putting these down here because we really want to make sure that these bottles now are really being highlighted that are winning and moving on to the next round. So that you're not like looking at it, you know, looking at the other bottles and yelling at me on why, you know, why didn't this win? You should have done this side by side. You should have done it this way. You should have done it that way. Well, you should have your own YouTube channel and you can do it however you want. But this is the way that I decided to do it. I had some really good help and feedback from my friends that are a lot more into whiskey than I am, or who are pretty novice like I am as well, to help me, you know, with the rankings and, you know, and going about it this way. So I feel pretty confident that I'm doing it as best I can. But again, so far, none of these are super hard to come by. Yes, obviously you have to be in Tucson or know somebody in Tucson to get you these barrel picks, right? But that's not that hard, right? That's not something that's hard to do, right? You could have a friend that could bring it to you if you lived in somewhere else, or, you know, you could have them ship it to you. I think, I don't know the specific laws in Arizona, but I think you're allowed to ship things out. So, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't have all 4 of these bottles here, right? When you do the high proof stuff and a couple of the ryes and maybe even a couple of the finished bourbons, might be a little bit harder to come by, but they're not super hard to come by. I think the only 2 that are hard to come by at retail or for at a reasonable price are the Russell's 13 and the George T. Stagg, right? Those are going to be really hard to find. But everything else isn't too hard. If I have it, you can get it. Trust me. All right, Old Forester 100, not to be confused with OnlyFans 100. So yeah, so let's get going on this second round here, or the second battle between these ones. We've got the Penelope 10-year private estate collection, or private select collection out of their estate collection. Holy moly. All right. Really excited for this one, because man, do I love that Penelope 10-year. Don't get me wrong, I love the Old Forester 100, right? You know, it's almost empty, and really had to take it off the shelf here so that we wouldn't drink it all, or I wouldn't drink all of it. But both of these are really good. Luckily, I have the 9-year that's also fantastic, that didn't make it into the bracket because it got beat out by the 10-year Penelope. But we do have the 9-year and the 10-year. So luckily we can kind of drink that instead of drinking this one, so it doesn't go all the way, just in case it were to make it all the way to the end, right? So yeah, you know, when it comes down, when we start to do the different like bracket versus bracket, it's going to be really focused on the flavor and how I'm feeling about the flavor, right? Because I just started thinking about that the other day. You know, when we do, you know, the low proof stuff versus, I believe it's going to be versus a rye, and then it's going to be the finished versus the higher proof. It's going to be really just about what that flavor is like, and what would I prefer if there was if there were two bottles left on the planet, it was this or that. Which one would I rather have in my house to drink? That was the only bottle I could ever have, or the only other bottle in that specific category that I could ever have ever again. Which one would I choose, based on just the flavor and its drinkability and its and just how it is overall? So that's how I'm going to do. That's how we're going to try and do it, because I know it's going to be just a very different. You know, it's just going to be very different when it comes to those crossover matchups that we do later. So yeah, so let's get this one going, and then we'll have our final two that are going to go up against each other for the final four. So we got Penelope Estate Collection 10-year, and we have the Old Forester 100. This one is 50%, and this one is 100. And so this is 50% to 100 proof, and this one is 106.8 proof. Again, you could argue that the Penelope should have gone up against the Russell's Reserve, and the Old Forester should have gone up against the Old Fitzgerald, but that's just how I ended up doing it. When it came to the proofs, both the high proof and the low proof stuff, it wasn't based on that stuff going up against each other. It was just based on what I liked throughout the year, and which one I thought was the best versus which one I thought was not the worst, but in the 8 seed, right? There's plenty of low proof stuff that you could go get that comes out every year, or that was maybe even just bottled that year, right? You could go get something like a Jack Daniel's single barrel that was bottled in 2025. And so it's not based on the proof. It's based on how it tasted and how it was. Obviously, the Russell's Reserve is showing you that it is a powerhouse when it comes to that lower proof area. So yeah, so let's get going on these two. Right off the bat, of just like that smell coming in was really fruity. More of like a raspberry kind of flavor or kind of smell to it. Obviously, you've got that oak in there as well. We're just going to stay on this one for a second. That one's good. Super, super good. Very good. I like it a lot. It's got a good flavor to it. I like the oakiness, just a slight little sweetness on the back end of it. That one's really good. It's very easy to drink. There's nothing too overpowering, whether it's the 100 proof or the 112 proof on here, or 106 proof, my bad. So this is only 53.4%, so it's very close with the 100 proof and the 50%. That one, right, is still good. Still got a very punchy flavor to it. Still has a little bit of kind of overpowering oak, and not much else going on. Just oak to me. Maybe a little bit of fruitiness, maybe a little sweetness in there too. Yeah, this one's just pretty, I think this one's pretty cut and dry to me. Again, I don't know which one is which. Again, this is all just proof, right? Obviously, this one's aged 10 years, aged 8 years, 7 years. I don't know how long this one's aged for. It doesn't really say anything about the age statement, but it is really good, obviously. It made it into the top 4 in the low proof stuff. But I think I am going to go, again, yeah, I don't know. That's last sip. That last sip was okay. This one's really hard. I think the other one was just so much easier to go by, because one just had a punchier flavor that just stuck out a little bit more. I think I'm going to go with my gut. I think I'm going to go with the first one again. I feel like I go with the first one a lot of times, which may or may not be a thing. I don't really know. It's just how I'm feeling. I try and cleanse my palate as much as possible. So yeah, let's figure out what this first one is. It's the Old Fitz or the Old Forester 100. That was a little bit of a surprise for me. I definitely thought it was going to be the Penelope. I just thought too, like that just had a little bit more of that punchy like flavor to it. And I thought it was because of the proof, but it definitely was not. This is awesome. So we have the Old Forester 100 going against the Russell's Reserve. So we're gonna say goodbye to the Penelope. It's going right back up on the shelf. It'll probably come around in another video soon after we do this bracket. But man, am I excited about that one. Not that I wanted it to upset and win over the Penelope, but I thought that was really good. Yeah, did it upset Penelope number 6? No, yes it did, because the Nana's Old Forester 100 proof was number 7. So we have a crazy matchup gonna happen, right? We have the Old Forester 100 proof versus the Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Select, which are both out of Nana's. Nana's barrel picks are going up head to head. Who is going to win? That is so cool, so awesome. They do some really cool stuff. Yeah, at Nana's. Hopefully they continue to do really great stuff. Definitely go check them out, not only for their barrel picks and their tequila picks, but also their food. They have really great food, really great service. The family that runs it is absolutely fantastic. They've really welcomed me and my wife in just like another friend or family member every time we go and see them. So yeah, go check out Nana's, but don't sleep on barrel picks. Barrel picks are super good if you really like the place that does the barrel picks, right? That just means that your palate might just align with those people that do the picks a little bit more. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it was a little bit shorter of a video, but be sure to check out the next video when we do either the Rye Riot, the finishing school, or the high proof second round and second battles before we get down to the nitty gritty and get into the Elite 8 essentially, and then we'll get into the Final 4, and then we'll get into the championship. So yeah, so I will see you guys next time, and thank you so much for watching Eating the Heat. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always.